All right. So you can see my slides, I believe. Today is our last day, and I want to just cover the contest really quick. So if you haven't joined us before, welcome. You're in the right place. I'm so glad you're here. But we are having a contest every day. And yesterday, I wanted to really bring in the hitting home how we can be more productive and get out of the ways that we can feel negative, the ways that we can feel like we're not going far. So I want to congratulate Ash Lee, as she's known in our group. Congratulations, Ashley. You win a 30-minute coaching consult with me. Yay! Celebrating you, Ash. Thanks so much for playing. And we'll have one more contest today and then the grand prize. So if you've played every day, you're eligible for the grand prize. And we're going to be having that through the weekend. I want to share one of my favorite transformational leaders and a quote from her, Eleanor Roosevelt. You might know her from lots of options of our former First Lady. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I really appreciate and honor where and how she stood up for the things that she wanted in life. And I think all of us are capable of that. It's just a matter of putting our stakes in the ground and going for it. So I want to follow in her shoes, and I hope all of us can take that as inspiration today. Regarding yesterday, so let's just quickly recap. What did we talk about? And even before that, if you can remember way back to Wednesday, oh my goodness, and even if you weren't there, you get a chance to kind of freshen up on how and what we've learned. So what we did was yesterday, we talked about the tactical trap, right? And how we don't have quality time as overwhelmed managers. Overwhelmed managers don't have time for anything usually. Like I used to say, we get stuck in the task abyss and we don't realize that the incremental steps that we take, the law of little things, which is here in the graphic, can really help shift us to go where we want to go and be in places that feel really good. So those are some high level things that we talked about. Day one was all about navigating negativity, right? So how do we get out of the negative subjective bias to objective thinking, to feeling like that is a place that serves us. And so we talked about some tools there. We talked about knowing there's loss aversion, that's normal, and that all these things are kind of playing with us. So, just taking this in a moment, taking a moment to like think about this, because it's easy to kind of just forget all of these things and move into the next thing and process what we're talking about today. But each of these secrets is really important. And I want to just emphasize that. So even if you aren't here from Wednesday and you came today, or you were Wednesday, but you're watching this recording or whatever it is, just know that whatever you're taking away is exactly what you need. And those who are live in person or asking questions or following up with calls, like you are the ones who are making the biggest moves. That is the law of little things. So glad that you're doing that. And for those of you who don't know me, you probably know me by now, but I'm Rachel. I'm your host, and I burned out myself. I literally fizzled out at Google over 10 years ago now, and I was there 13 years. So about 2 years in, that happened to me. And I realized I just wasn't present. All of these tools we're learning, I had no clue, you guys, on how to incorporate them or that they even existed, like naming a feeling or understanding that I was in negativity bias. I wasn't there to know I wasn't there, as Ellen Langer said, who's my podcast guest this week, by the way. So I'm here to tell you all of these skills are learnable. And we'll hear from Kathleen today to talk probably about what that would be. But I want to let you know that what's really exciting is that we can change the game. You can change how you are thinking, your thoughts, feelings, and behavior, so that your actions are congruent with how you think. And that's what it's all about. And so if I can do it, you can do it, because I know I had no training in any of this stuff. And I learned everything through studying emotional intelligence and through studying and getting my master's in transformational leadership and coaching and writing papers on Eleanor Roosevelt and things like that, because I realized there are other ways. And that's what I want you to know today, is that there are other ways. You do not have to feel drained. You do not have to comply with thinking like, is this it? Like, I'm not feeling that satisfied right now. No matter whether you're the CEO or the intern, I think, it goes up and down the chain. So what's today? We're talking about energy. We're talking about managing our energy in ways that serve us. And why do we get drained? We're going to talk about some of those blockers that don't really work so much. And remember, the fastest and easiest way to being an impactful leader is mastering your own EQ, your own emotional intelligence. This will get us out of overwhelm and stress. And this is what we're doing. Today, we're unpacking the last part of this. And all three of these things that we've been talking about are really, really important and lead to a strong ROI, like a return on investment when we invest in ourselves. And I want to just highlight here what that means. What does that look like when we invest in ourselves? Or what does that return look like when we're really vested in our own EQ? Here's a couple stats I wanted to share. They're from Goldman, where I am also certified as a meta coach. EQ is the highest in demand classification of skills in the workforce. It is the number one skill recruiters are looking for, and describes almost 80 to 90% of job competencies where there are top performers, whether that's the cream of the crop at a company or an individual. EI accounts for 75% of job success. And knowing that, it's actually only 25% of the skill itself, literally the intellect and the knowledge-based skills that we learn that are part of success. So what does that tell us? Like, it's so much more about dealing with people and communicating and awareness. Loving that. It also tells us what differentiates the typical performers to the stars, right? So every org has their stars. Who are our star performers? They're usually mapped out at the leadership level, and 80 to 90% of that is attributed to EQ. In complex jobs, and I would say all of us in the knowledge economy, by the way, are in complex jobs, we're 127% more productive. We close like almost 27% more, meaning if you're in sales or if you're closing deals, 30% more sales will come your way because you've got high EQ. And then finally, leadership. This is from the Harvard Business Review, where key leadership skill is EQ to be effective, and we can increase those profits, right? So that's also assimilated and correlated with emotional intelligence. So all of these things are just here to say that clearly you're in the right place, and we're talking about these things that overwhelmed managers do today that are going to really bring us home for all of that ROI. And then we'll talk about next steps as well. So let's get into the content here, and type into the chat if you're, if you're resonating with harnessing your energy. Like, would you want more energy in your day? What could you do differently if you were able to not sabotage energy, and not that you are, but potentially expand it and increase your capacity? To me, that is what emotional intelligence does. It actually increases our capacity to have more time and to have more energy. And when we're not in that space, you might think I'm nuts to think that, but I've experienced it, and I know that. Like, it doesn't matter how much is on your plate. You can live a really high velocity life and lead and have as many things as you have on your plate today, but feel really good in it. And that's the key with EQ. So overwhelm manager mode, right? I call it OM, overwhelm manager mode. What do they do, right? So first is this number one thing they do is they say yes to others. Okay. And maybe you're resonating with that, but you might feel like if you're an overwhelm manager, for example, you're on the hamster wheel. You're too tired to do different things. Maybe you lack energy and you're disconnected. And you might be wondering why there's this big red dot square around this lovely stick figure I've drawn. You can see I'm an artiste, and that's not my best skill, but hey, I'm putting it out there. So this represents this red dot around this stick figure's head really represents living from the neck up, I like to say. So when we live from the neck up, overwhelmed managers tend to do this. What happens? All right, so you can see here, right? The energy of these blue arrows, their energy is kind of going out multi-directionally. It's not necessarily in your best interest. And these little gray lightning bolts that are surrounding you are like little zaps of whatever it might be. It might be things that you have to deal with, your tasks on your plate. It might be a request coming in from different people at different times of the day. And it's kind of like just invading you. Like, it's not necessarily in a process. You're kind of reacting to things, maybe putting out the fires. So those are the things that I think get in the way of overwhelmed managers. If you agree, type agree in the chat, because I think we're kind of all on that same space, right? So we're not connected to our bodies either in this space, right? That kind of makes sense. Our heads are literally like severed off where we're living here, right? So everybody just take your hands and like make a little like, you know, Madonna Vogue option here. Like we're living from our heads up in overwhelmed manager mode. There you go. Love it. And we're not informed. We're not getting any data that's going on from the neck down that our whole body might be experiencing. We're either disconnected or we're on autopilot to be not thinking about it in a conscious way. So this is kind of what we know, right? Like this is like the way that things are, but that's not okay. Like this isn't the way it is. And then the other part of this is like saying no is not in your vocabulary in a place that feels like it's okay. Maybe you feel guilty when you're like, I can't do that today, or you are setting expectations with others, but then you're feeling guilty and ruminating over it all day long. Like it's not really serving you. So that's the first thing that overwhelmed managers do. And the second thing I want to point out here is what I call decision fatigue. And you might be recognizing this as well, where so continuing on this theme that we're living from the neck up, but we're distracted, we're detached, and we're not necessarily doing things that feel really good. We might be in our heads all the time, and that's ruminating. It takes a lot of time. And then we've got what? Self-doubt creeps in, right? Maybe there's things we're thinking about that weren't even there. We're up at 4 a.m. in the night and thinking about things and what could be different. Those things just don't really serve us. So we feel insecure, self-sabotage kind of creeps in, and we don't know how to get out of this. It's just kind of what is. So if you've experienced this, or you know, even not right now, but maybe in the past, or you've kind of had this on your plate for a little while, just type in decision fatigue in the chat, like, or just fatigue, let's just call it, right? Fatigue, because that's a big part of what isn't working, right? And who can relate? God, it's like analysis paralysis. There's so much going on, right? All the hands go up, right? Yes. Okay. So let's move on to the third thing that overwhelmed managers tend to do. And this one is, I think, hitting home as our emotional intelligence theme of the week really kind of surfaces, because overwhelmed managers are not equipped for emotional mastery. They're not equipped for emotional mastery. And what do I mean by that? And I didn't mention the workbook yet, by the way, but you can write these down in the workbook, which we've been using all week. And if not, you can take notes. That's okay too. If you need the link, you can let me know. But the thing is, you can see my little lovely emojis here and like the big red X through them, in that we avoid our feelings that are uncomfortable. And we kind of get trained in this. Like, it's not your fault that this happens. This is actually more of a condition as humans, as adults, where it wasn't okay to feel certain ways, whether it was in our families or in our environments, usually when we were little. And it's carried through as an unconscious pattern now. So how do we move through this? So this might be familiar to you too, right? Where it might be some people don't even allow themselves, joy might be the feeling, right? We talked about those 5 feelings: fear, hurt, sadness, anger, joy. And joy wasn't okay. Like, what are you so happy about, right? Like, then maybe you were not happy and we get a little pouty or angry. So we need to be aware of what is it that we're not allowing ourselves to express or feel, because emotions are designed to bring us from pain to pleasure. And as leaders, holy cow, like when you have a leader who's impactful, right? And we'll talk about that in a moment. Like, they are super connected to what's going on inside their bodies, because that's how they're so relatable, because what they're feeling inside of themselves is what they're able to feel outside of themselves and read a room or understand what's going on with others. So all of these things are really, I think, core to what drains our energy. And to me, you know, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, they all add up for not necessarily serving us, right? And incredible expenditures of energy here. So they're taxing. It keeps us from being grounded, from being better, impactful leaders. And guess what, everybody? Like, we were born, each of you were born to shine. Okay. Like, you were born to shine. So go ahead and just type in shine in the chat, because I want you to remember this. This is not your normal state. This is what we do when we're not feeling aligned and present, because we forget. We forget, and then this becomes the norm. And just on this side of emotional energy, I mean, we talked about the pain, but the 5 feelings. But the idea is that when we're feeling this, it just doesn't work that well. And know that there is more for you, as you are born to shine. Because if we don't ever take the time to assess where we are, or to know what's different, frankly, life is too short to do something else, right? Like, we want to be thriving and sustained and feeling good, because I truly believe it's possible for all of us. All right. And so those are the things that the overwhelm manager does. We're going to switch gears now and say, okay, now tell us what impactful leaders do. What are the differences that go on? So we're going to talk about that. And so the first one, instead of saying yes to others, guess what the impactful folks do, right? The leaders are saying yes to themselves first. And I know if you've got any resistance to that, like maybe you've got a thought that I've already popped into your head, like, well, that's selfish. Like, that was mine. And it's just a belief that we've allowed to shape our behavior. That's it, right? Beliefs are just thoughts that we think, and we think them a lot. And research tells us we think the same thoughts over thousands and thousands of times a day, right? So to harness more energy, we need to say yes to ourselves first. So that means that we are aware of what we need, right? What does our body need? How do we pull energy from the environment, not just ourselves, but where we are in the moment in a room, right? We can go out in nature. We can have like the what do they call it in Japan? The nature bath, the tree bath, or when they walk through the forest, like that's kind of their deal. And I don't know if anyone's done that, but if you walk through the forest, you kind of feel that, right? Immersion in that, and it does replenish us. So maybe when this happens, there's ways that you feel impactful and it's helpful for you. And I think that that's totally true. So instead of the stick figure being connected from only the neck up, the other part is you are wholly connected to yourself. You've got your body as informing you as well as your mind. I mentioned Ellen Langer, so she's on the Pausecast this week. She came out with a new book called The Mindful Body. She calls it the mind-body connection, or mind-body unity. It's not mind-body integration. It's actually unity, in that they're constantly informing each other. So if you've only got your head and not your body, you're missing out on most of the game. Because we have a gut brain, we have a heart brain now. There are cells that we've now known in research that are matching what the actual cells in our brain are, in terms of the neurons and how they're connecting and informing us. It's fascinating stuff. So instead of it being just on our neck, we have the whole body, and then these awesome little, the silver energy bullets are contained. So they're either, being in a place that feels like you're allowing them in and they're protecting you, or there's a sequence to what you're doing and it feels really good. And we're heart-based leaders, I think, too, right? Where all that means is like, we're informed by our bodies. We're informed by what else it matters to us, and leading and living fully like that. I think that that's really, really important. So if you want to be a impactful leader, it's really important, I think, to get to that as well. The second thing impactful leaders do is they trust themselves. Instead of that decision fatigue, they trust the decisions and choices that they make. So what does that mean, right? So you could probably guess this one, but maybe there's just this disconnect you have. So this is what happens when we live from the neck up, by the way, is we are distracted and detached. But the thing with this, with being trusting with yourself, is that it's possible that you can do things now, like tap into your intuition, right? Your inner knowing in your gut brain. You're breathing in energy, maybe, instead of feeling overwhelmed by all of these things on your plate. So the idea is you get refueled from your body. There's surroundings. You have techniques and tactics to feel like you are made to make these decisions. And when we're more connected, we're clearer, we make decisions faster. Our emotions inform us of what to do easier and better. And it works, right? So when we're connected, and our breath can inform us, our heart can inform us. And that's really what matters, I think, the most. So before I get to this last point, I just wanted to point out, if you haven't pulled out the free gift in the I guess it's the Facebook group. This is the 3 keys to thrive as a leader and not burn out. So if you want to quickly grab your phone and just scan this, you can get the free gift. And there's a couple points of feedback for this presentation for my masterclass. So if you would like that, you can also just go to talk.ac/pause now. That is the URL that you can use. And I would appreciate any feedback you have. You don't have to do it right now, but if you scan it, it'll be on your phone to get later. And then free gift is what you can type in if it asks. Okay, everybody got that? I'll leave it up for another second. All right. So the next thing here is this last point impactful leaders do, where they're not, we're emotionally fluent. So what the heck is emotionally fluent mean? So remember these guys on the left, these are the 5 emotions: fear, hurt, joy, sadness, and anger. But impactful leaders are fluent in mastering their EQ. So they're aware of how they feel. They are able to read the room. Maybe it's a meeting like this table here, and they can feel the energy. And this is a skill. And I think this is developed over time. The more you're able to relate and be in your body, the more you can intercept and understand what's going on outside of you, because you're feeling what's going on in your body, which is also interpreting what's going on outside of you. So that's what's so exciting, is that this is all tied to emotions. So you cannot read a room unless you are emotionally fluent and express what might be happening and respond in responsible ways. That means you're heard. That means you're seen. That means you're coming across as a valued and respected impactful leader as well. So I love that for all of us. And that's where we're going, right? And I think this, to just bring this home, is this the final point I want to make today is this big wrap up of how to be an impactful leader, where we have 3 key goals, essentially. So what this is in the program Executive Leadership Accelerator. This is the program that my students go through in 4 months, where we get clear on what you actually want when it comes to your career, right? That's the plan. So like, what's going on with you? Where are you today, right? We can't go anywhere unless we know what's going on to be different. And then we identify the gap. We figure out what is the gap that's in the way. It might be unconscious behaviors. It might be beliefs. It might be patterns. It might be ways of thinking that just aren't necessarily serving you, which could be about yourself. And the third thing we do is we provide the tools. So there's this awesome development going on where I provide with my team EQ skills and tools to get noticed as a high impact leader. All of that is to say that it is possible for you. And these pillars, the EQ leader, embodied leader, mental ninja, nurse ninja, is the way we do that, right? The fastest way to go from the plan to where you want to go is really through these 4 pillars, which are in the program. And we get to cover all of this today. So with that, I want to just put this into the chat, because I know we've only got 2 minutes here. We might go a couple minutes over, but if you're interested to talk further, and I hope you are, book a 30-minute Amplify Your Impact session with me. And what we're going to do there is we're going to learn more. I'm going to learn more about who it is with me. And it's only today, Friday and Monday. So Friday and Monday, because I'm opening the doors up for Executive Leadership Accelerator, and we're starting next week. So this is a limited time, but I'd love to just learn more about you and see if it's a fit to work together. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's all good. This is totally a no strings attached type of call. So if you go ahead and book that with me, it can be today, it can be Monday, you pick the time that works. I would love to learn more. And with that, I'm going to take the slides down here. I'm going to bring Kathleen up, who is our speaker today, to share more about what who you are. And Kathleen, you and I have known each other now for a long time. Kathleen was in the program a couple of years ago, and she still shows up and still does trainings, which is amazing. So great to see you today, my dear. I want to say hello and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much. So great to be back. I know it's been a while since I've continued to do these, and I realized need to Yeah, just need to do that because this is, all this work that we're doing and the things that I learned from you, it's a practice. There's no finish to it. Like it's the tools of that. And that's just one of those things. And yeah, I was realizing just a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, I'm noticing more, like I need to connect more. And then, yeah, the Facebook thing popped up and I'm like, oh, perfect timing. And then when you reached out to see if I would speak, I was like, well, yeah, I could totally be the poster child also of like burnout and what not to do. But it was great to then think back to see how much, I've grown and to see how much you've developed too. And because, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, I first introduced you through the book because I'd like to say that I was getting to the point of burnout, but I was burnout. Like we were far enough, I was far enough along on that. And I saw the book that you'd come to the town to share about your book about pause, which was great. And then from that, I took a couple of the classes and things. And so I encourage everybody, to do it. Like I was not someone who had ever done coaching. I was not someone who had ever done those classes. It was so new and strange for me. But I just loved it because it's all these tools. It's, taking that pause. I've been working in the nonprofit sector for over 20 some years, and we are just horrible about the concept of encouraging we do, more with less, and we have to do more, and just that martyr kind of
Bubble go.
complex.
Yes.
And it's unhealthy. That's why we think we burn out. And I think, instead it needs to be that we have to put our own oxygen masks on before we can help others. And we can't be good leaders and managers if we are stressed so those were the tools that, I've really taken. I loved the sense of community that we had doing it with others. So we know we're not alone in these concerns. Rachel is always great about, one, you've been sharing all your knowledge, like all the research and your master's degree, which was wonderful, but you've been there too. So that's so supportive.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. So I could go gush on and
Yeah.
on, but I don't want to say, take on
Yeah.
too
No, I
much
appreciate it. Thank
time, but
you.
I've loved it and it's great. Yeah. So I love the opportunity that you also open up that even after the classes and things, there's still ways that we can still, work together and have the individual support and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you. And if you had to pick one thing that's like maybe still with you and, all these years later that you still look to do or different, that helps you as a tool, what would you say is that for you?
Oh gosh. I mean,
Just
the
pick
two
one.
things like breath, like all the breathing and exercise and things like that, but also the idea of tasering the negative thoughts, because that was such, I literally sometimes still in my head go pew pew, like
Oh, nice.
I'll
Let's
be
get that.
admitting, or sometimes maybe out loud too, but just to try to get right on it, like before it gets further. Those are the things I still, so
Um,
many things, but those are definitely that, make aware of the breath. So yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Kathleen. And yeah, the tasering we didn't even talk about, but it's in the book pause and it's an acronym for tune in, accept, shift, express, and repeat. So literally it's like, the taser gun. Thanks for bringing that in, Kathleen. I love that tool too. So all right, everyone. Well, thank you for being here today and write in your biggest takeaway. And I put in again, just this link here. If you'd like to book a call, please join me. I'd cleared my calendar for today and for Monday to help you. And I mean, I'm just so excited and touched that you're here, that you could have been here. You could have been doing millions of other things literally right now. And you chose to show up. So I'm so glad that you came, and I'm so grateful that you came for you, that you said yes to yourself. So you're clearly on this path towards impactful leadership more and more. And I would love to support you in that. So thank you everyone for being here, and I hope you have a really good rest of your weekend. The contest is on. So the contest is now the third contest. I'll just share the screen again. The last final day here. And it is, where is it? I guess I'll just go to this one. All right. Well, I think this is it. Yeah. So here it is. Here is the third one today. So to post how you say yes to you, right? So this is about our energy. So tell us how you show up and say yes to you, to feel sustained versus drained. So what would that be? You could tell us, you could share a photo, you can make a video, just tell us why that's also important for you, and then comment on anyone else who's posted there. But the idea is that, we're integrating this and playing full out so that you can thrive and be the impactful leader that you are becoming. And it requires us to engage. It requires us to do things that we don't normally do and to get outside of our comfort zone. So thanks everyone so much. Thank you for playing full out with me this week, and much love. We will see you next time, and I'll see you on the call and you book one. Take care. Have a great day, everybody. Have a great rest of your Friday. Bye.